And let's get started. So welcome to the secret trick for building opt-ins that people love. My name is Trudy. I run an agency called This Chick Means Business. It's new, so keep an eye on that. What we're here to do today is have a look at ways to build opt-ins that actually really attract your ideal client, save you spending hours building the wrong thing, because I have spent hours building the wrong thing. I will get you can turn off your cameras if you like. Now you can unmute because I am using Zoom meeting, but if we leave it muted, type your questions into the chat, and then at the end we'll have lots of time to talk as well. So today we're going to look at opt-ins, which is really important for us to be focusing on no matter what stage of business that we're in. So for those of you that don't know me very well, I am a unicorn fan. I have two cats, Toya and Speed Panda. I'm a budding filmmaker. I love writing, so this is why I love writing copy and working with my clients to help them build amazing copy. I'm not a natural blonde. Sorry to shatter the illusions, but I'm 44 and my hair's going grey, and I decided to have a bit of fun with colour, so that's why I'm blonde at the moment. Professionally, in my first business, I actually ran a business coaching teenagers. And if you can work successfully with teenagers, you can work with anyone, because teenagers have no filters, and if you're boring, they will tell you. So I used to run a lot of live events and build experiential games and create a lot of programs, which then led me to becoming a course building expert, because we did a lot of study about how to actually engage, because working with teenagers, right? So we used to do cold calling to field our events, and then we used to have a lead strategy, which was almost like cold calling. So I've got a whole heap of skills around sales, connection, content and course creation, which led me to become more of a business strategist instead of just focusing purely on course creation, because I realized there was a bigger need for people to have the whole picture. So I'm a mastermind facilitator now, a mentor to coaches and healers, and I'm stepping into more video marketing, because video is such a big, powerful thing that's happening online at the moment, and in various ways we need to get comfortable with camera. So I am a business all-rounder, and for this webinar we are focusing on one thing. Now, chances are if you're here, you're ready to move out of startup and you're looking to move into the growth phase before you launch and scale your business. So this growth phase that I'm really working on with a lot of people right now is you've moved out of startup, you know what it is that you do, you're happy with your modality, you need to build a list, you need to get more consistent, you need your systems and processes and everything all sorted out, to really go into that really successful launching of online programs and courses stage. And then the scaling of your business is where you start hiring a lot of team members, start branching out and grow your business really to six figures and beyond. So I work with people startup growth phase and wanting to look into the launch phase, and they move. They can be a little bit fluid as well. So if you're here, you've been in business for a while, I'm imagining that your list isn't quite growing the way that you want it to grow. You're spending time building freebies, but maybe they're not converting. Your list is like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's not really getting any traction. So if that sounds like you, can you let me know if you're like need to really get my list growth going, get my business stable so I can really have a big list to start launching to. If there's another reason why you're here, feel free to type that into the chat as well. That's okay, Deb. It's a busy day. It's a midweek. Justine thinks she's a little bit more potentially startup. That's okay as well. But even these things that we talk about today, even if you're like, no, I'm still in startup, the sooner you start building your list, the better off you are. because in my first business, we had about 3,000 on our list before we shut that down. I moved into starting new stuff, and because I was in groups and I was so well known, I never really worried about focusing on building or nurturing a list. And then I got into the launch feast and famine cycle, and then I kind of burnt the list that I had. And, you know, I want to save you from that kind of pain and frustration. So even if you're in startup, definitely start building your list. Okay, Lisa, you're in the right place, because if list size is low and no one's opting in, I reckon we'd probably be able to come up with something today for you as well. Now, this is Nails Lisa. I've got the right Lisa. Oh, no, hang on. No, the story midwife, different Lisa. I know two Lisa Evanses. How is that? Cool. All right. So let's get into it, because getting our freebies working is really, really important. So next slide. So we want to stop resisting strategic focus on list building, because it can sometimes feel a bit of a drain, like having to create the freebie, go into Canva, build something, make it all happen. But we really need to focus on it. And it's really funny. I decided to do this webinar, and then you know how like when you decide you want to buy a particular car, you see them everywhere. All of a sudden, everything was showing up in Facebook about list building. And, you know, if the big names are talking about it, I feel really comfortable talking about it as well, because you need the right people on your list. Now, Meg has started her list building. She sent out one email. She's just getting it going with her yoga beers. Awesome. Perfect place to be. So you need the right people on your list. You need to deliver value, you need to be on message, and you need to build the opt-ins to get them there in the first place. And so these can look like big pieces of the puzzle, but when you break it down in the right way, you build the right things, you end up, and we'll talk more about this, you end up creating the right content and content flow to nurture your list once people are on there, and it becomes really easy. But if you don't know the best practices for actually building something digestible and sought after, that's when you get stuck. We want it to be easily digestible, and we want it to be what people want. So I just want you to take a moment to imagine you've got off this webinar and you've gone, I get it now. I know what they need. I am going to create this awesome thing that my ideal dream client is craving. And you sit down and you create it. You build your landing page and you launch it out to the world. And you're a little bit excited, a little bit nervous. You share it on your page. You share it in the groups on freebie days. And then you go and check how many people have signed up. And you're like, oh my gosh, I shared this thing in like 2 days ago and I've already had 10 new people join my list. How amazing would that feel? And then you go a little bit further out into the future and you're like, oh my gosh, these 25 people that signed up for my freebie last week, they're now reading my newsletter, or they've read the email inductions and they're staying on my list. And then in 6 months' time, when your list is like growing and growing, and all of a sudden people are like, you put an offer out and people are signing up. How good does that feel? I want you to hang on to that feeling. Because look, I reckon we've probably all done it. You've signed up to something, you get the free thing that you want, you get an email, you unsubscribe. We all do it. What we want to do is create the thing that people go, that was great. What comes next? Well, I'm going to read the next email. Oh, this looks interesting. I'll sign up for the next free thing. I'll go watch the video. Oh, here's a paid offer. I feel comfortable buying that. This is what we want to create, because when you stay on message, build what your people want, show them what they then need, and then you have that know, like, trust factor in there as well. You're in the race. This is what growth is. Jacine's just said she has a hoarding problem. Is that with staying on lists, or is that like keeping all of the opt-ins? Or a bit of both. I used to be like that, but here's a little, I'm going off on a tangent. Here's a little thing. I have a Gmail account. It's not linked to my Outlook, so I have to specifically go and check that. So it's on a laptop, but it's not on my phone, so I'm a little less distracted. So I have to specifically go in there, and I have it scheduled when to check that Gmail account, so I don't get overwhelmed when I am on a list. Don't let it stay there forever, though, Justine. You've got to delete your emails. You get mental clutter that way. But that's a whole other webinar. All right. So this is what happens when you don't have the list. And look, if you're a little confused about when I'm talking about with email sequences and nurture sequences and creating passive income products in the sequence and all that stuff, that's okay. You'll go on a little bit of a crash learning course here. But this is the big thing, and this happened to me. I'm more than happy to admit to it. I got so reliant on the know, like, trust factor in groups, and people would just buy from me in groups, and I didn't build a list. Eventually that kind of burnt out. I had a tiny list that burnt out, and I was reliant on the good faith of people deciding that week to buy the offer that I was putting out. And they had to decide that that's what they needed right then, because it was just putting it out there week after week. It's probably a little bit of an extreme, a little bit of an exaggeration, but it got to a point where it's like I'm either having to launch to the same people on my list, or maybe get a few people new here and there, and hope that they'll buy, or hope that the little offers that I put out in groups, people will buy that, and then I can upsell them. And it's not steady and it's not stable, and it can actually get really stressful if you're only doing that. I would not recommend that as the strategy on its own. It's definitely part of a strategy to sell in groups, but let's get these free things going, because I also see a lot of people in groups doing free things where they don't actually get an email. And people are well trained now that for something that they want, it's fair exchange to swap it over for an email. So let's get into the content. And look, Meg, it's not a bad thing. Like, please don't take it the wrong way. Sometimes people take it the wrong way. It's not a bad thing, but it's not helping you long term. So unless you then have another system set up where you record all those names and you track people and you stay connected with them on Facebook and you go through all of that, yes, I think I'd feel more comfortable knowing that I've got them on the list and I can build a relationship that way. Because if Facebook or your page or the group that you're in ever shuts down, you're kind of a little stuck. And I've heard it happening a bit at the moment. Groups getting deleted, pages getting deleted, no explanation. So yeah, the best way to secure a lead is to have their email on your mailing list. So if there's any questions, type them up in the chat. This is today's content, just so everyone knows where we're going with this. Down the left-hand side, these are the opt-ins. We're going to have a quick review. I sound really rough around the edges today. We're going to have a quick review. We're going to have a look at the different kinds of opt-ins that you can build, and then we're going to discuss what to build so it appeals to your niche and what you need to do to build something that people will give you their email address for. I have selected the winner for the hot list. I put everyone who'd registered for the training and I did a random number selector. And that person is on the call. I'm so excited. And the challenge winner as well. Oh, hang on. Maybe they were the challenge winner. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So it's worth hanging around. So let's have a look at checklists. Now, as we go through these, I'm going to tell you what worked and what didn't work. Most of these are things that I have done in the last 2.5 years. So a checklist is great. A checklist is something where, depending on your ideal client, they can tick it off as they go. Now, oh yeah, I forgot that was on there. Take over the world. Yep. Well, come on, you know, for the ambitious ones out there. So the checklist is really, really good because people can tick things off as they go. They can take a little bit of action and do the steps. I actually own the domain name Team World Domination. Anyway, let's get back to checklists. So it gives people the steps to take. Now, the reason checklists are good is because it can actually help you sort through who's going to work with you and who's not. There are people that they will get the checklist and they will go and just take the action. And chances are they're not your client, because you'll be looking for the people that look at that and go, I know what I need to do, but I need somebody to help me with the how. Now, I rolled this out and it sank like a stone. Now, the reason it didn't work, not because the concept of a checklist was bad and not because of what on here is bad, but this was not what my ideal clients were looking for from me. I was known as a course builder. Now, even when I was teaching people how to build courses, I was teaching them the strategies before and after you build the course, the mindset, the tech, how to know what your ideal client is, all of that. People weren't looking to me for that. They wanted to know, how do I build a course? How do I build a challenge? How do I know what to build? So if I was working with startups, something like this would potentially be great. If my niche was people that were like in that first 6 months, purely first 6 months of business, and I shared that, that would work. That would work a heck of a lot better. So as we go through this, there's some clues that you can start listening for on what would work. But a checklist is actually a really good opt-in. It's a bit of a no-brainer. So as we're going through this, write down checklist. Would that work for my clients? Now, the next thing is the mini video trainings. I haven't done one yet, but I've got a couple planned. Can't wait to do them. Mini video trainings are great. If you've ideal client, and we'll talk more about this afterwards, if your ideal client is the kind of person who wants to sit down and devour video. Now, I always suggest if you're going to do video, make sure you have a transcript for the people that don't want to, or it's captioned so people can watch it while they're at work and plug their, and read it and not have to worry about hearing it. Video trainings are going to be huge. And if you're not confident yet with video, there are ways that you can get confident with live. You can just grab your phone and start filming stuff at home. The video is going to be very, very big. So stay tuned for my video trainings. I haven't filmed them yet, but it's definitely potentially a really good strategy for business. Webinars. Webinars are awesome. I love doing webinars. Now, you're in a webinar now. So when you're doing a webinar as an opt-in, you need to give yourself time to get numbers for it. This is my opinion, I believe you need to be very specific about what the webinar is going to cover. I used to give mine really fancy names and people would get really confused about what I was talking about. Webinars take a bit of practice. I've been running webinars for 8 years now. Wow, that's a long time. How old am I? No, 7 years. But webinars are great. They're a great way to build the know, like, trust factor. You can do pitch-free webinars. You can do webinars where you do offers at the end. And webinars are great content for repurposing. Now, with my webinars, after the webinars, most people just go, webinar's done, put it on a site somewhere. But for the next 2 to 4 weeks after the webinar's done, you can still share it. Hey, did you miss the live training? Sign up for the recording. Webinars are a great way for people to get to know your personality. There's a bit of a glut of webinars happening at the moment. I know some people that do them every month. But do your clients want to sit down for an hour once a month or an hour once a quarter and listen to your content? So that's the question to ask. Now, I have a webinar formula. If you want to do webinars but you're stuck, email me and I can email you through my webinar formula. But webinars Webinars, they're always going to be around. Type in yes here if you've run a webinar before and if you would run a webinar again. And if you are scared of doing webinars, let me know as well, or if you've never done one. Type it up in the chat. Never done one, it's on the list. Shaz, we can work on that. Scared to do one, never done one but would like to. Awesome. Ladies, let me know if you need some help. Like I said, webinars, a really easy formula. And it's good to, at least do a couple. Yeah, short videos are awesome as well. Posters. Now, Denise Litchfield really inspired me. I've in the process of building up some inspirational business posters. She does some absolutely gorgeous ones. Go check out her stuff. I kind of like I'm a little bit in awe of Denise Litchfield. She's so polished and so amazing. So this poster here, right? So the thing on the left, the hand-drawn thing, is something that I teach at live events when I'm facilitating, something I take my clients through, teaching the understanding of the brain. And so on the right, you can see how I turned it into a little bit of a poster to remind people of what they've learned. So it's a nice little trigger. It's neat, it's coloured. You can do things with beautiful images. Canva's got great stuff. Because it's something that somebody can print up, put it on the wall, pin it on their notice board, and of course you should brand it with your name or your website or something as well. But posters are fun. Screensavers are fun. Something that, I've got something, Stasha Washburn, who's the period coach, she gave out a poster, the 4 phases of a woman's cycle. And I have printed that out and I still have it on a notice board beside my desk. So whenever I see that, I think of Stasha. So posters, they're easy, they're a no-brainer. People don't have to, talk to you to get it because sometimes people don't want to talk to people. But that's a great way to get branded content out into the world. Quizzes. Once again, Denise Litchfield does really good quizzes, relationship quizzes. Another girl I know does those. We are trained now that, quizzes on Facebook, most people will let the quiz companies have their Facebook profile information. Quizzes are fun. They're a little bit distracting from day to day. Quizzes are a great opt-in. They do need to be suitable to your niche. I want to do a quiz, but it doesn't quite make sense yet for me to do a quiz for my ideal client. So keep that in mind. There's like the onlinequizcreator.com, which you can build quizzes on that. And there's lots of other different things. Give me a yes. Are you finding this interesting? Just type yes in the chat box. Everyone's still with me. I just thought it would be a really good idea to review the types of opt-ins. Shaz has got a quiz almost created. Awesome. Yep. Brilliant. Okay, let's talk about 5 and 7 day challenges as an opt-in. Who here's done a 5 or 7 day challenge before? Doesn't matter whether you've finished it or not. Have you registered for one? Awesome. So this is 2 samples of 2 5 day challenges that I've done. And I've done another one called the CEO Experience, which is going to get a reboot and a revamp for my Facebook group. Yep, Lisa's like, nah, my ideal clients wouldn't be interested. Awesome. Challenges aren't for everyone. And challenges actually take a lot more work than most people realize. So the 7 day business of coaching challenge, it worked. I had a huge sign up for it. I over delivered. So as a list builder, it was great. Build your 5 day challenge. Once again, 5 day challenges were really in vogue. It was a great list builder. Once again, I probably over delivered. Did I get sales out of both of those? Yes, I did. So they worked, but not on the big scale that I wanted. And I believe if I had have consistently run either of those challenges once a quarter and kept refining it, it would have been a really good list builder and would have become a really good money maker. But I've shifted out of these niches, so it didn't make sense to keep running. So if you're going to build a challenge, don't build it with the thought of I'm just going to do it once. Build it with the thing in mind of like, okay, at the end of each challenge, I'm going to refine it, I'm going to repeat it, I'm going to refine it, I'm going to get known for it. Because the Business of Coaching Challenge was back in end of 2016. Yeah, end of 2016, where I still had the Coaches Brainery, which was my online academy for coaches, and I had the hashtag Coach of Coaches. So if I had have stuck with that as an offer and had have kept running that challenge, definitely would have paid off. So that's challenges. Cool, ebooks, right. So I've had an interesting experience with ebooks. Meg runs a Yoga in Nature challenge. That sounds nice. Very nice. So ebooks, all right. So the 5 credibility boosters for new coaches, it's still up on my website. It is going to be coming down in the next 3 months. It needs refining, though I still get, when I send people to the website, I still get signups for it. So it's working, but it hasn't been a huge promotional focus for me. Now, the What's Really Stopping You, this was a mindset ebook. I wrote it in July 2016 when I was still getting known as the course builder, and I was also doing the coaching mentoring. Now, did it work? Did it not work? I didn't promote it enough to be able to really get enough data. Because the thing with your ebooks and with any of your opt-ins is consistently sharing it and testing it and refining it. And what's really stopping you probably wasn't really what my ideal clients at the time were looking for. And this is the thing, right? My clients, the coaching clients, they were looking for, how do I set up my coaching business? How do I find clients? My course people weren't looking for mindset stuff. They wanted to know how to build an e-course. So it didn't match what my ideal client was looking for. Even though, and I've still got it, the content, when you read it, is actually really good content. What I should have done with this, with What's Really Stopping You, it's actually a three series of ebooks. I should have had them as bonuses for when people signed up for something. Kept them as a bonus. And even the 5 credibility boosters for new coaches, that'll be a bonus sort of thing going forward in the future, because they're like 5 to 10 page ebooks. So they're not like, not nothing. So with any of this stuff that you're creating as well, please remember, you can always refine it, reuse it, you build something. You don't necessarily need to just throw it away if it doesn't work the first time. The consistency in sharing, especially with things like ebooks, that's okay, Deb. Jump on and watch the recording when you've got a second. So with these things like ebooks, you need to keep sharing them regularly and consistently. And I'm doing that more on my Facebook business page now as well. All right, now there's one more freebie thing that we're going to look at, and then we're going to go more into the how do we create it all. Challenge hacks, free reports. So you can do, the white label free reports. People like free reports, just as long as it's, good solid information. Cheat sheets. So the challenge hacks, this went with a video. So people watched the video and then they downloaded this form and they could fill in the answers. This could have been brilliant, and I didn't share it enough. But the few times that I did share it, when I shared it with my list once and then I shared it with Facebook once, it went really well. So that's another thing with these opt-ins. Sharing them just once is not going to be enough. So it tied in really well with the video. It was something that people could print out and fill in. It was a great lead into the challenge, the 5-day challenge. So, and if I was going back to purely working and focusing on course building, I would reinvigorate this and relaunch it. So Just a little cheat sheet, free reports, little easy things that give people that first step in the solution makes a huge, huge difference. So let me just check on where I'm at with my notes. All right, any questions so far before we move on to the next thing? What do you mean just seen it isn't relevant now? Is it a type of opt-in? Well, challenge hacks, I'm not really doing focusing on course building anymore. So it would still be relevant if that's what I was focused purely on doing. Does that make sense? Have I understood your question? Oh, it is still a type of opt-in. So a video with a downloadable worksheet, yeah, perfect. That's fine. Yeah, just for me right now with what I'm doing with my business, it's not anymore. So cool. All right, how are we going for time? Sweet. We're nailing this. All right, so how do you select a topic? All right. Now, I use, I'm pretty sure we've got some coaches on here. I use chunking as a way to select the topic. It's a coaching tool that I think a lot of you would probably be familiar with, to break down the client's problem and give them bite-sizable action steps. Yeah, it's called chunking. So if you're coaching a client, you get the big overall problem and you break it down to the smaller steps so the client can take a smaller step forward to start resolving the problem. Now, if we do this when we're building courses, not building courses, when we're building opt-ins, but we do it for course building as well. When we're building opt-ins, break it all down from where the client is to where they think they need to be, where we think they need to go, and reverse engineer the process. We can then create not only the original opt-in, but we can actually create stepping stones to get the client where they need to be to create a bigger outcome. So this is how it works. See where your client is at. What are they looking for? Now, remember, as I took you through some of those opt-ins, what I was building for my clients wasn't what they were actually looking for. So then you want to look at where you want to take them. So, and we'll do this in the hot seat with somebody. See where they're at, look at where you want to take them, and then you just break it down into small, safe, and easily digestible steps to get them to where they need to go and where you want to take them. So, for example, challenge hacks, right? Everyone was like, cool, I want to build a challenge, I want to run the challenge and then like sell people up into my big course and make lots of money. But it's a bit overwhelming. So the first step when you break it down is going, okay, people want things to be easy. I'll do a little video and they can download the sheet. They can start answering these questions to help them decide, is a challenge right for me? What kind of challenge will I build, etc., etc. So they've then got that first step to give them the solution to their overarching, to their big problem. Now, in that process, ultimately, I wanted to teach people how to build big 8-week online courses and sell those and make lots of money. But what were the steps in there? Okay, so the first step was the video. They had the checklist. They then came and did my 5-day challenge. They learned how to build the challenge. They realized in the process of building the challenge, okay, I've got a challenge. I don't know how to launch it. I don't understand the technology. How do I get everything set up so I can actually run this challenge successfully? Then the next step for me was, okay, great. I run my first e-course. Not only do we help you build your course, I will get your mindset right. I will show you how to set up all the technology. We'll make sure your topic makes sense. I'll show you how to build it and all of that stuff in there. So suddenly we had this beautiful, really nice client journey that we could take them on in the process. And that's how we break it down to decide the topic of an opt-in. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions with that? Make sense? Yep. It's actually that simple. I know some people, that's a good question. I'll explain that in a moment. I know some people, they use different analogies and all different terms, and it's pillars and it's all of this kind of stuff. It's quite simple. What is the first step that the client needs to take? So everyone here, Secret Opt-in Tricks webinar. So what do you need to know how to build an opt-in? Okay, well, the first step is you need to know what the client is looking for. So this will help you decide what it is and give you the name. Now, you know where you want to take them and where they probably want to end up, but you want to solve that first problem that they're coming up to. Otherwise, you can give them the rest of the steps, but they're not going to be confident to take that first step with you. And that's where you get the name from. You know, I ran a webinar, the steps for moving out of startup. Really, really simple name, but that's what people were looking for, because there's a lot of people, they're confused about knowing, am I still a startup? Where do I go from here? I'm not sure what the difference is. So that gives you the name. Does that answer your question, Jacine? Yep, awesome. Now, that's how you select a topic. So how do you know what opt-in to actually build? This is the next question, because there's all of those different types of opt-ins, but not everyone is going to want to watch mini video trainings, take an hour out of their day to watch a webinar, be interested in quizzes. And this is where, and it's another sort of coaching thing as well, but this is where understanding your niche is really important. So you can do the traditional niching, which is demographics, the age. I like to then get into meta programs, have a look at their behaviors, look at somebody's lifestyle. You know, so if you work with mums, do mums want to spend an hour and a half out of their day watching webinars? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you'd be better, and this is something I just realized I didn't put in here, maybe you'd be better off offering them a downloadable audio that, you know, if they're walking or doing something around the house or picking the kids up from school, or something that's easy to digest for your niche. You know, so for people that work from home, one of the reasons I do my webinars around lunchtime is that people can actually, hopefully on their lunch break, maybe sneak in to have a listen if there's some people that are still working part-time. But, you know, they sit down at lunchtime, they sign into a webinar, they watch it. Hopefully they're not working at the same time as well. But hey, we multitask, don't we? But that's how I decide to do this and do webinars. So you want to have a think about your niche and think, what type of thing am I creating that's easy for them? Now, some people, you want to do the poster. Do something that's, they put it up on their wall, encourage them to print it out and put it up on their wall, and they can just read it. I had a poster from a former mentor, and for 2 years, I had that blue tacked to my desk because it was so valuable to me. So step into your ideal client's shoes and think, what opt-in is going to best work for them? And if you do a quiz, invite them to join your Facebook group or follow your Facebook page at the end, so you can continue to stay in touch and build a relationship that way as well. So having a think about it before we move on to the hot seat, who has some ideas around their opt-in that they might want to build, or what type of opt-in? Anyone? Jacine's a challenge. Danielle's raised her hand. I'll unmute you, Danielle.
Yep, that's cool.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
I just finished building my opt-in this week, and then your webinar came up, and I was like, "Yes, perfect timing."
Awesome. I've seen you. I've seen you in the Smart Chicks group.
Yeah, right. So it was actually as a result. I obviously want to, launch this lead magnet, launch this opt-in, at the end of my live masterclass. So the timing was just very good for me. So thank you.
Awesome.
The opt-in that I've built is a bit of a, I guess it's a downloadable on online business, so a bit of a checklist.
Yep. Awesome.
With a bunch of things in there. So
yeah, we were talking about
delivering real value. Yeah, I'm sorry I was a bit late.
Checklist. Oh no, that's all right, because we went through a whole heap of different ones: cheat sheets, ebooks, challenges, quizzes, posters, checklists.
Yeah,
checklists are awesome. I love checklists.
Yeah, so it's a checklist, and then sort of part checklist and part filling out bits and pieces that they need.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for it. I'll have to stalk you online. Everyone stalk Danielle now and check out her.
Not quite ready. Like it's not actually having a few technical issues, but yeah, almost. Will be tomorrow.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I'll keep an eye out for it. I'll pop you on mute.
Thanks.
Love a checklist. What's everyone else got here? Poster might work, a challenge, a how-to guide, a small book, white paper, poster ideas are coming now. Kieran said, I find it really hard being in the marketing space with everyone offering so much free content. How do you differentiate your offer? I might answer that question at the end, Kieran, because that'll probably take a little while. Shaz has got checklists. Meg's awesome. Cool. Differentiate it by asking for money. That's a good one. raise the expectation higher. Cool. So now we're going to move. I'm glad everyone's thinking. We're going to move into hot seat time. Now, I did a pre-random random number generator. I had everyone in the list. And for the hot seat, I made the mistake. The winner of the share challenge is on the call, which I'll announce at the end. So you'll all be wondering. But the person who was random number selected for the hot seat isn't actually on the call. So is there anyone here who would really, 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 really love to have a chat with me about an opt-in? Put me on the spot, see what we can come up with. Who wants to go on the hot seat? First in, first served. Jacine, all right. Ooh, Lisa, if we get time, we'll have a chat with you as well. Cool. It's 1:45. I've allowed a little extra time. All right, Jacine, I'm going to unmute you. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, thanks, Trudy. So my business is it's a form of getting organised, or it's an internal aspects of getting organised. I'm calling it colour orchestry, and it's about developing heart-based strategies for people and helping them to make decisions that are heart-based as opposed to mind-based and weighing up pros and cons or that sort of thing. So it's tools and strategies for that. That's the business. And
it's through colour.
Yes, colour is the language. And for people who can't see colour, I have symbols that help to tune in to the different aspects of our lives. And I mean, it came all about from me, because I found that I used to love creative, spiritual types of activities, but then I would, lose track of time and practical things while I was doing that. Then I'd have a year or two of getting focused on money and being practical, and then I would disconnect from my creativity. So this business was how I got to become more balanced and holistic with my life. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so your ideal client, so I'm imagining you've got a pretty good idea in your head about what they need.
Yes, and I think one of the biggest ones that they need is to, first of all, accept they need to let go of certain things to sort of get rid of the overwhelm, because I think creative people have that type of overwhelm. They've got too many projects on the go, and it's a matter of how to choose. So it's first of all understanding first they need to let go.
Yeah. All right. So that's what you've identified what they need.
Mm.
Do they know they need to let go, or are they going, I am so overwhelmed with all my creative projects, I don't know what to do next?
I think they're just on the verge of discovering that, and the concept I suppose idea. Oh, maybe maybe they're still in that. Oh, I've got to somehow get a hold of it and get more organised and put everything through a system without letting go first. So yeah, maybe they're just about to discover it, but not quite.
All right. So they're in the spaces that I've got to get all of this organised because I can't do it all.
Yes, and my process is saying, instead of getting organised, get harmonised.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's organised versus harmonised.
Yes, and and centralised, rather than anchoring yourself in something. Centralise in your heart.
Okay. So I'm heart-based decision. So you're wanting to get them to the point they're making a heart-based decision around the processes that they're doing, what to keep, what to let go of. It's not a logical decision that they're making. It's heart connected.
Yes, and it's
so
a different type of intelligence. Yeah, hold on.
Of what stuff that isn't working, and they don't end up getting overwhelmed.
Yes.
All right. So are they super busy? Are they the kinds of people that, because it's colour and symbols, are they the kinds of people that would sit down and watch video, or do they need something that they can move with?
Actually, they're probably more of these people do things with their hand, because they're probably, I mean, the people I'm thinking of are artists and people who work, create things for a living. So the people I know who do that, they like to listen to audio as well as watch television or video at the same time while they're creating. They often will multitask in that manner.
So would you get them to do, because I mean, you could do like a really simple poster that is the organised versus harmonised, and it's like a little guide that it's something pretty they can pin up on their wall.
Yes.
So it's there, so the artists and creatives will see it, because if you can get people to put something that's in their peripheral vision, even if they're not focused on it, they are absorbing what that message is.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because it is made more for visual types. I'm thinking, yes, okay.
Or it could be a little mini video with an audio, or some sort of poster that goes with it, or some sort of colouring challenge or something.
Yeah, one thing I had started working on was this challenge, which I'm calling Undo Your To-Do List.
Ooh.
But I didn't know, but again, it's for them to take time out to actually do this. But I thought if I kept it really, really simple and very, very basic and fairly short and with big catch-up times, then, it possibly, would feel...
Because if you do a challenge, that's one step a day, one simple thing a day.
One concept, yep.
Yeah. It could, so depending on how you do that, if you want to do something simple, I would say do a poster.
Okay,
something beautiful that teaches the organised versus harmonised.
Yep.
Something they can put up. Are you being logically organised, or are you harmonising? And give them the steps underneath of what it looks like, so then they can go. Because I have my 3-month quarterly plan on a big poster on my wall beside me at the moment.
Yep.
Every time I look at that, it's like, that's my focus.
Yep.
There's something in there that the poster comes with a small video.
Yep.
Where they can watch that. It's like a 5-minute video that explains the difference. Here's the thing, print out your poster, put it up on the wall, and take one simple daily action, because you want to make it easy.
Yes.
Is that something that, because then it's this beautiful thing up on the wall, it's no pressure, they can still be creative, but they can see this thing. I should put my video on, I'm actually moving around, but they can see this beautiful thing beside them that's just this reminder that keeps catching their eye.
That sounds really great, yes.
And then if you do then step it into a more of a 5-day challenge, that can be like just a simple, you could do a beautiful, it doesn't even have to be videos. This is the thing with a challenge. You can do something that's just like a really beautiful email that comes with a beautiful image. How are you harmonizing your environment today? Take 5 minutes to declutter your desk. Take 5 minutes to do something. It's simple. There's a beautiful imagery. And then once they've started harmonizing, what's the next thing? Because there has to be a flow. There has to be some steps to move that.
Yep. So I think the next step is to see what they're struggling the most at. And so I've got a few different portals at that stage, which depending on where they're struggling the most, they can choose. So it's like doorways they can enter through. So it's a matter of identifying.
Sounds like a choose your own adventure. This sounds awesome. You should do a choose your own adventure book too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And so I am creating these questionnaires which help them to decide where they're at. So it's 3 major doorways. So one is where they're more at that level of.
Could this be a quiz?
Yeah. It's just as we were talking about this, I'm thinking this could be a quiz.
Because then that's quick. It's effective. Yeah. It's like, do this quiz. Where are you organized versus harmonized? Which is the key areas? And you break that down. Now, I'm not a quiz building expert. I haven't even done one myself yet. I'm fascinated by them.
Yep.
Go check out Denise Litchfield's quizzes. They're amazing.
Yep.
But then that's 5 minutes. Because if they're like if they've got so much stuff on, maybe get them to do the quiz first and then have that as a lead into a challenge.
Yeah. Or the doorways. But yeah, I do think with the quizzes I tend to be a little bit more I get maybe too detailed, but it's I do get over detailed with that sort of thing. So
but it's the first step, right? So it's the first step's the identify. This is where I'm feeling stuck. Here is a quiz that's going to give me my personality type or the thing that I need to know. Great. So with Denise's quiz, I'm a sensor. Awesome. That makes perfect sense to me. How do I then use that and work with that to make my business better or make myself better or make my life better?
Yep.
And this is where the chunking comes in when you sit down and go, okay, this is their first challenge, this first thing they're looking for. What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? Because the problem is a lot of times with opt-ins and things, we're rushing to get the client to the big thing that we want them to buy.
Yes. Yes.
But if you step them, it creates safety, it creates security. They feel nurtured. It's not hard. So, that's the next thing I need to do. I join the group. I do this challenge. So then they've had quite a few touch points with you. So when it comes to asking whether it's a small passive income product or whether it's a bigger item, they know you and they trust you and they feel comfortable, even if they've never spoken to you direct one-on-one.
Okay, now that's sounding good. There's quite a few processes.
Different ideas that you can play with. I don't know your business well enough to go, do that. But you can see, and hopefully everyone else can see, that there's quite a few different options that you can play with there. And it's just a little bit of time to sit down and go, okay, these people are really busy. Putting them straight into a challenge, they might think it's a great idea, but are they going to stick to it?
That's a good point.
Do a little quiz, find out your harmonizing type.
Yep.
And do it that way.
Okay. That sounds really good.
Yeah. Danielle's raised her hand. Danielle, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah. Something that, and I'm not sure if this is like relevant to the current business we're talking about, but something that I've used for some of my clients as lead magnets that's been really helpful is, for example, I have a client who's a speech pathologist looking for new clients, and she's created a downloadable that she's advertised, and the downloadable is actually how to choose a speech pathologist for your child.
Yeah,
so it's a very interesting
the how-to guide.
Yeah, like if I am, looking for a speech pathologist for my child, say on Facebook, I'm scrolling through and then I see this downloadable that's saying how to choose this person. So, if you were I don't know, a builder be like how to choose your builder. And what it does is it kind of like, it's obviously a free report. It's going to say these are the things to look at. But then obviously on the back page or last 2 pages, it says, and also these are the things that I do. So yeah, it's a very subtle way, but she's had a bit of success with that. So yeah, I don't know if that strategy works for anyone here, but I just thought I would mention it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So yeah, so that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the cheat sheets and the free reports. Yeah. And sorry, you missed it, Daniel. We're also talking about the title. I'm not sure if you were on the call. We were talking about the title then, but making that really clear what it's for. So yeah. So how does that help you? Is that giving you
that's wonderful. That's great, Trudy. I've definitely got a lot of ideas there, because even what Danielle just mentioned, you know, how to choose your pathway or how to choose your doorway, like in, you know, looking at yourself and your inner processes, you know, that's given me an idea too. So that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that'll keep me busy the rest of the year.
Yep. And something that I haven't mentioned on this call, I don't think, but with your opt-ins, it's not a case of sharing once and seeing how it goes. Like cycle through them, keep sharing them, create like a content strategy and a plan where it's like, okay, for the next 4 to 6 weeks, this is my free thing. It worked really well, or I want to refine it, and then keep cycling through, as long as it stays relevant to your business.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Brilliant. All right. Well, we'll leave you with that one. I will pop you back on mute. Thank you for putting your hand up.
That's great. Thank you for helping me.
No worries. So I run NLP trainings for the Life Coaching Academy, and it's the worst thing when you ask for a volunteer and nobody puts their hand up. It's awful. Now, Lisa, if you have time to hang around until the end of the call, I'll have a chat with you as well. It is getting close to 2 o'clock. Now, with all of these things, you know, I believe I've delivered some good value for you. So I just want to have a quick chat about some ways that we could work together, and then we can do some more questions and another hot seat at the end of the call. But I would love you to imagine if you had support to maximize your list building, daily actions in business, and easy ways to create and set yourself up for stable business growth, how would that feel for you? Because, you know, growing a business for long-term success, I know personally from my own experience, it can feel really overwhelming doing it on your own. And I would like you to just think, you know, how could it feel to be set up and running efficiently, so you know what your targets are, you know what you're aiming for, you've got support around you to help you take the action, support you in the wobbles, and with somebody who's learned the hard way what does and doesn't work. Because there's 2 ways that you can work with me at the moment. And if you've been on these calls with me before, you would have heard about the Beyond Start Up Mastermind. If you follow me on Facebook, I feel like I've put that all over the interwebs. If you haven't heard of my mastermind, business is sold to us as the short game. But if you really, really want a sustainable business, it does take time, it takes consistency, and it takes focus. So with the Beyond Startup Mastermind, we're going to develop your personal strategy. I'm going to show you how to implement a content strategy, show you how to build and nurture your mailing list, show you how to analyze your data, manage your mindset, because business is such a mindset game. It really is. Because what I found is a lot of people go straight from startup, doing a little bit of one-to-one, and straight into big program launches, and they don't have the setup, the structures, the systems, and the list building and everything organized to make your launches successful. And that was me. I was actually coached in startup in my second business. I was just starting to get traction, encouraged to go and build courses, went on to the feast and famine cycle, and was not set up for the big success that I had, and like a house of cards, it all came falling down. So this is why I'm so passionate about the Beyond Startup Mastermind. The way it works, you get a monthly one-on-one call with either myself or one of my expert team. There'll be 2 group calls a month that you can join into. So these are the mastermind calls. You'll have access to my expert team in our Facebook group, weekly accountability, and do the get out of jail free card. So I give you my number. If you're stuck and you can't wait till you call, or if I'm not online and you need an answer straight away to move forward, you can send me a text. I'll either text you back or I'll ring you. You get access to all of my online content, and we are going to be focused on really setting you up for a sustainable long-term business, that we will get you to the space where you're ready to launch online programs, and you can do it in a way that doesn't burn you out, because burnout is one of the business killers. Pricing for the mastermind is $2,875 paid in full. That basically works out that the 6 month is free. It's $575 a month, and you basically have access to me every day. You can post a question in the Facebook group every day, and I will answer it. The price is not reflective of the value, but for where most people are at in business, I'm comfortable with this pricing, because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through when I was setting up my business in the last couple of years. It's been a recovery process. Went too big too quick. So payment plans are available. I can do an extended payment plan with the right people if the terms and conditions are adhered to. So that's a mastermind. So it's a maximum of 12 women going to be in the mastermind group. My expert team, Laurie Griggs, Laura Dick, Anna Mason, whether it's mindset, communication, money, systems, processes, I've got you covered. So you can do one-on-one with me as well. So it's either 2 calls a month or 4 calls a month. We have a payment TNC with this one. You need to apply for coaching. We need to have a conversation to make sure we're the right people to work with. These are the only 2 ways you're going to be able to work with me over the next 6 months while I set up some other cool things in my business. So if you're interested in working with me, we need to have a conversation. It's that simple. Beyond Start Up Mastermind, you have daily access to me. You get one-on-one access. You get group calls. You get all of my stuff and things. The one-on-one, 2 to 4 group calls, one-on-one calls a month. You get all my attention in those calls as well. But if you're not sure, apply anyway. I'm going to send you out an email with the recording. All you need to do is hit reply if you want to book in a call and have a conversation. I'm really relaxed about this now. There's already 5 women in the mastermind. There's still space for 7 more. I'm going to give you everything. So this is not my best close, but I'm very aware of time. We have gone over, and I don't want to keep you on here for too much longer. But I think I can definitely help you. Email me to book in a call to discuss which option is best for you. I'm maxing out for the next 6 months with 25 clients max. That's it. 25. That's it. Done. Now, if you know that you're good, you've got what you need, you can go out and do it yourself, that's awesome. I wish you all the best. But if there is something in your heart going, I need this kind of help, you can tell me what to do, but I need somebody to support me through it, please reach out, because I know that for a lot of people out there, even knowing what you need to do doesn't actually get you taking the action. And if you're thinking, oh, but I'll get in touch for the next mastermind in 6 months' time, 6 months to wait to take action is a lot of time to wait. So business will stay scary and lonely if you don't get help, whether it's with me or someone else. But I don't know anyone who has reached huge levels of success without having a support team. So I'm putting my hand up to be a support team. So talk it through if you're not sure. Like, just jump on a call with me. I don't bite. Let's announce the winner of the share challenge. Oh, I deleted that slide by mistake. Corinne Haynes, you are the winner of the share challenge. Thank you for commenting and sharing my promo post for this webinar. I will be in touch with you and I will send you the link to book in a call. So thank you so much for sharing my work. I really value that. It means a lot to me. So you have won a 90-minute business audit with me. So that's all the salesy stuff. Questions now. The question that we had earlier, where did it go? From Kieran, find it really hard being in the marketing space with everyone offering so much free content. Now, obviously, you can actually charge for it. And I have a great example. I was at a live in the room make sales calls course. And there was a doctor who was teaching students how to pass the GAMSAT. And he said, well, how can I charge more when I'm doing the same as everyone else? And it was, well, add more value. So from an offer perspective, add more value, or just decide that you're worth more. So this was for a paid thing. But the example for this is like, well, if everyone else is doing it for free and you charge for it, people pay attention when they've paid. It's really simple. I might put my camera back on so you can see everyone. There we go, cameras. Oh, hang on, start the video. So people pay attention when they've paid. So if people are doing all of the stuff for free and you pay, awesome. Or this is another thing. When everyone's zigging, how can you zag? How can you do something different in that space? So if everyone is doing webinars, do a quiz. If everyone is doing free readings, go, okay, well, I'm not going to do free readings. I'm going to write a report. You can then get a little controversial. A lot of people get scared to be controversial. You might do something where if people are like, if you want to give me an example. So if everyone's doing the 5 ways that you can be amazing, you might do something like, stop limiting yourself by reaching to be amazing. You're better than that. So create a little controversy. It's something that we used to talk about in the My First E-Course thing, is polarizing your audience. This is kind of a little bit extreme, but when you polarize your audience, you really take a stand for something. So this may not necessarily be an opt-in. It could be, but it's creating something in there where you are showing up for really believing in something. People will polarize, and then the people who don't believe in what you believe in will take themselves out of the equation. That gets you a really niched list. But I would look at what everyone's doing and do something different. So even how I did 2 offers on this webinar where you can either talk to me about the mastermind or coaching, that's a big no-no. It's a big no-no. Every coach I've ever worked with say, you never offer more than one thing at a webinar. But I'm like, well, here's the 2 ways. One-on-one, because I know there's going to be people out there that don't want to join a mastermind, just want to do one-on-one. Cool. These are your 2 choices, one-on-one, mastermind. Boom. So hopefully that helps, Kieran. Awesome. Brilliant. Now, where is my midwife lady? Now, if there's any other questions, type them in. Lisa, are you still on the call? Lisa's gone. Okay, she had to go. Does anyone else have any other questions? Any other ways that I can help? This has been such a good training. Corinne has to go. Is it Corinne? Am I saying it right, Corinne? Yep, awesome, Corinne. Cool, I will be in touch. If anyone has any other questions, Shaz has got to go. Awesome, I'm so glad you're a part of Mastermind. I'm so excited to work with you. Awesome, Teresa. Yeah, and Teresa's in the Mastermind as well. So yeah, you'll love it. But once again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I hope this has helped. I run a free group called Chicks That Mean Business. You're welcome to come in and play in there as well. please, when you get the recording, there will be a link. You can book in. We can have a chat about our next steps working together. And I'm going to sign off for now. As always, here's to your business success. Bye.